We will be crowning our World Longboard champions as we move now into match number 3. Surfer on surfer. It's Elise Lemoigne surfing against Honolua Blomfield. Elise comes in at seed number 3. A little bit of a similarity between the conditions right now to a lot of those kind of North Shore waves, as we can see a little jockey for position, and it's Elise who doesn't take it because Honolua is up and riding, touching the nose, walks out of that second nose ride section. Things super fast and bouncy, but staying strong and controlled as she walked in and out of 2 critical nose rides, dealt with the speed, with the bounce, and now that wave just runs away from her. So she'll kick things off with a score. Elise will be left out back to have a little look at this set.
We're going to see that little bit of a paddle there right at the beginning of the heat. Hano able to get those steps up to the nose, but we just see it's a bit bumpy. She's having a hard time kind of holding their ground there. She manages to kind of push through this whitewater section, but it's a frother. And so she straightens out. She's not going to be able to make it into that inside section. My only critique is I want to see them stall the door. Here we see Elise. She's kind of has that very statuesque attack or way she approaches her surfing. She's able to get that nice nose ride and then into the whitewater again to set up again. This wave a little bit smoother, not quite as big, but perhaps as the wind picks up, the criteria, the ability to get higher scores on their cleaner rides may.
You know, it kind of just went slow, so when he got a 7 on that one, I was, identified that that's kind of the waves to be looking for in the heat, and one kind of came in with a nice wall and it wasn't that big, but I knew I had to go, and yeah, luckily I turned it into a score.
You're the reigning world champ here. You've got to come from relatively early in the event. How are you enjoying being in that position at the moment? How's that changed your approach?
But right now it is Honolua Blomfield going for her 4th World Longboard title with a really nice start to this wave. In and out of the nose, straight back up, cross-stepping, cutting back, using that footwork on her Carson Myers board, rebounding off the foam, keeping a high line. These are where variety in rail cutbacks becomes so important to stay in that steep section to get another nose ride wall.
100%. You have to kind of keep that power, speed, and flow going, and in order to do that, you have to keep closer to that curl of the wave without also overdoing it and getting yourself then stuck perhaps by a section.
And Honolua, also a surfer that represented Hawaii earlier this year in Surf City at the ISA World Longboard Championships, also took the win there. So great experience coming in here as she just gets a nice critical nose ride right through to the inside. That tide still high as we can see the judges position at 333 as we get to see the replay of this nice line on takeoff, Carla.
Yeah, she does that top turn to the 5, able to negotiate the bump a bit better here, brings it back into the pocket, keeping it all close to that because it starts to get soft there. So you can see she's trying to get to the tip, but she realizes that it gets a little too fat. She's not going to risk getting a mediocre nose ride. Instead, reset into the pocket so she can find that critical nose ride.
And she just works that way through to the inside. And what I really appreciate here, Carla, is just reading this last section, number of more powerful, faster braking waves. But this is a great longboard spot as our surfers hustle for position. And it looks to be Honolua Blomfield up and riding. Hits the 5 there. Elise wasn't sure if she still had priority, but Honolua seemed pretty sure that it was her opportunity as she gets herself up to a second nose ride. Holds that nose ride. Walks out of that second nose ride, and then that wave just starting to get slightly peaky and just fading out into the channel.
Yeah, and almost looking like she was going to head left on that bit, but as you said, just kind of sitting in that fatter part, deeper part of the channel.
That's why the priority switched.
Yes, she went enough for a paddle and went for it enough for it to kind of acknowledge that she had, aimed for it, and then that's why the priority switched.
And as we look back up the coast there, that heads towards the El Zonte. Rachel Tilley and her partner Luca cheering her up the beach after that win in Abu Dhabi. And now we've got 13 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Elise Lemoigne to the nose, holds the nose on her Luffy board. Her shaper, Luis Luffy Bento, is here watching as she gets a nice sweeping down carve on her single fin. And then sets herself up using footwork, dealing with the bounce, having to navigate the fact that this wall is now going to get slower, and it's about choosing that right line, using that rail work, trying to get behind the section to get those steeper walls to lock in an opportunity for another critical nose ride. Waiting to come through as we get the replay there of our Hawaiian surfer on her last ride that the judges will be dropping a score for very soon.
Yeah, it's so tight right now. Anything can happen. Very small scores needing, currently in the playbook.
But Carla, what about the way this wave just came alive through the middle? She looked over her shoulder and then just everything started to get exciting here.
Well, and from this angle too, it looks quite clean. From that other angle, you could really see how it stood up. It allowed for that nice nose ride. And then as she got a little bit out of the shoulder, she's able to just really take that speed, wash it off back into the curl again and reset. And she also does a nice finishing maneuvering into that inside where all that sand is kind of filled in and make it nice and clean and peeling.
A lot of good rail work.
To kind of come out and go down, that just shows the speed that she's able to get while she's on the nose. And so she's often having to come back, regroup back into that curl to get that more nose ride again. Not as much dynamic rail work on this wave, but definitely a lot of nose work.
And it really opened out for her. So a little bit of luck, the fact that this second wave did deliver. Honolua Blomfield, as it stands, in the lead of match number 3. The surfers looking to meet Natsumi Teoka in match number 4 from Japan. Elise Lemoigne up and riding in a 5. In a touch of the 10, holds that 5, stretches that back foot away from the nose just to control that hang 5, and now back to the tail, just snakes a turn, just trying to now stay in the pocket. You'll see her widening her stance and adjusting that back foot, just touches the face there to keep control, just staying poised, keeping those palms open. One of the distinctive features of Elise Lemoigne surfing is those kind of bird-like arms and very, very open hands.
Yeah, and again, style is subjective, so some people have different preferences as style. I appreciate that connectivity from her shoulder to the fingertip. And yes, she uses her arms, and sometimes it has that bird-like quality, but that's also, I think we call that third position.
Honolua now on a roll. This really is a roll. She's won now 3 matches. The opening match, match 2, match 3. She talked with her dad, Kolohe, North Shore lifeguard. He's just there for her in her camp,